The 13th of November, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Just a second. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. So I wanted to ask about this case that we discussed with he found the purse in the marketplace,
Yeah.
and we said he doesn't have to return it, even when the owner comes and says, "I lost my purse, and here's the sign." And we said that it's because he gave up hope.
Right.
Even though he's standing there telling me that it's mine.
Right.
And that would seem to indicate that he didn't give up hope.
Well, it could be that he did originally. We're assuming that he did, and then he changed his mind. May as well go try.
So let's say this purse has identification in it. Would I be then be obligated to announce it, or to go ahead and find the person and return it?
No, the issue here is not that we don't accept the fact that he gave us a simon. He gave us a simon, and we believe that this used to belong to him. But since he lost it in a place of Rov Kananim, we say that he gave up on it. This that he's now coming and saying that he's trying to get it back is not a proof that he originally gave up on it. Once he gives up on it, he can't. He relinquishes his ownership over the item, so it becomes hefker.
So a possible scenario would be that he lost the purse, and he discovered it was lost, and he said, "Oh, I lost it in the LAX airport. It's no way I'm ever going to get it back." And so he gave up hope, and then his friend came to him and said, I saw Joe Schmo picked up a purse in LAX. I think it might be yours. So he goes to Joe Schmo and says, I lost a person. I heard you found one in LAX. And if you look inside the purse, you should see it has my driver's license in there.
Yeah.
That's a scenario that would fit the rules of this case.
Okay. So first of all, we should say that there's no doubt that lifnim mishur sadin, to go beyond the letter of the law, that would be what one should do and give it back, because it's clear that the person, it's clear that like you're saying, that the person, that this was the person's item that he lost and gave up on. There's no doubt that we don't. It's not that we have to understand something. It's not because we doubt that it belongs to him, that it used to belong to him. We have no doubt that it used to belong to him. The question is, though, if he was miyayish, so then he it's like he stood up. What would you say about somebody that stood up in the middle of Times Square in New York City and said, I hereby relinquish my right to this wallet, right? So, and then 10 minutes later, he says, one second, I want my wallet back. He goes over to the person that picked up the wallet and says, please give me my wallet. So what would you say?
He gave up hope. He made a public announcement.
Yeah. So in the halacha over here, we are and the truth is that he doesn't need to even to make a public announcement of hefker in order for him to relinquish his ownership right over this item. It's enough that we take on in halacha that he was miyayish. Yish is a different thing than hefker. Yish means that he said, "Vayli lechasron kis." Oh, I'm never going to get this thing back.
But there's a significant difference between the example you're giving and my understanding of what's in the Gemora. The Gemora says nothing about why we assume he was miyayish.
We don't. I mean, the truth is, the reason I said the case that I said is that I'm trying to make a point. It's not about whether he could prove that this item belonged to him. That's not what it's about. The issue is whether he was miyayish. If he was miyayish, then in the halacha, he doesn't have any ownership right over this item anymore.
Right. The problem is we have an assumption or presumption that he was miyayish based on halacha, which is directly contradicted by the facts of the case.
Is it true that it's directly contradicted? That's
what he says. He says it's mine. I want it. Isn't right?
Does that prove that he wasn't miyayish initially? Does that prove that he was not miyayish initially?
It doesn't prove it, but it's a very strong piece of evidence.
Well, let's take a look at this case again. This is the case itself.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
This is exactly the case that the Gemora is saying.
Yeah, let's look at it again, please. So let's see. It was on 20 Kaf Dalet Amid base.
let's see, I'm looking for, we actually had two cases like this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in Kaf Dalet Amid base, and it's almost up to the wide lines. Rava Haba Shakil. Rava was following behind Rav Nachman. The first word on the line is Rava.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So Rava was following behind Rav Nachman. Beshuka to Gal Da'e, in the market of leather workers. V'amrei lay, and some say Beshuka to Rabbanan, in the market of the rabbis. Now that is interesting in and of itself, because if it's the market of the rabbis, then you would think the majority would be Jewish. And you'd think that it would be a kind of a place where the people would be very responsible, and therefore you wouldn't expect to be Me'aish. I don't know what the significance of the leather workers is. I don't have a footnote.
Yeah, so I have a footnote over here. Shuka de Rabbonin Nikra Kain al Shem Shahayu Rabbonin Mochrin Sham es Skoratam. That the reason that it's called Shuka de Rabbonin is because here is where this was a special, I guess, a special chalik of the shuk, where Torah scholars would do a little business selling their wares,
Right.
making the parnasa.
Right.
Sefer Or Yitzchak bir al pi ma shenifsak b'shulchan aruch shekashetam chacham rotze limkor eschorato aser le'af adam limkor eschorato ad sheyimkor talmid chacham es shelo v'oso yom sheholcha sham Rav Nachman Rava mokri sham talmidei chachamim eschorato kosev aritzbash. Oh, this is your question. Isn't it so that if it's the rabbi's shuk, then it should be a place that of responsible people that are going to return something if they find it?
Right.
Well, on this, one of the commentators says, Ritzbash. So this is one of the earlier commentators because it's brought in the Shita Mikubesis, which is from the Rishonim. He says that even though there was in fact Talmud scholars that were found in that shuk selling their wares, bikomakom sorik loimash ahayu rov kananim mitzuim sham. The overall population of the people that were present in that shuk that would be capable of finding the item itself were not Talmidei Chachamim. They were people that were looking to buy something. Ken Kasatos the rush. So, in other words, the fact that the sellers over there were Talmidei Chachamim, it still got the same din as an ordinary shuk. And the din of an ordinary shuk is that it's a place of rov kananim.
Okay.
So that's why the Gemora says either it was either it was the shuk of the Yuladai or it was the shuk of the Rabbanan. Most likely, it was a certain section of the general shuk.
Right.
So it's got the same. It's basically has the same population circulating through it as any other portion of the shuk.
Except that they would be people who patronized the kinds of shops that were in that section. So it's a leather workers section, then you would expect craftsmen to be in there. If it's a rabbinical section, you would expect Talmidei Chachamim to be in there.
Well, it depends what they're selling. It doesn't say that they were selling Sforim.
Well, wouldn't you assume that if it's called the market of the rabbis, that it's because they tend to be selling things that have to do with the religion?
Well, see, if you're going to say that, so then you're making a problem in the Gemora.
Right.
What's the problem? That this is not an ordinary shuk. So why should if so, then maybe the din will be different than in an ordinary shuk.
Right.
So we don't want to look for problems and assume that on that account there's a problem with saying that it's shuk d'Rabbanan. So that's what the Ritzbash is suggesting.
So Ritbash says that although the rabbis frequented this market, it was nonetheless an area with a majority of Canaanites.
Again, it's the reason that we said that it's called Shuk d'Rabbanan is not because it's just because the Rabbanan would sell their things over there.
Right. Okay, so weiter. Amar le Rava said to Rav Nachman. So we said Rava was following Rav Nachman. Matzakan ar nekeh. If one found a purse here, mahu, what is the law? Amar le, Rav Nachman said to him, Hare elu shelo. These belong to the finder. So the finder finds the purse, and we're saying that he can keep it. He doesn't have to announce it, even though it may very well have a driver's license inside, because the environment that it's lost in is such that we presume that the owner gave up hope.
Yeah, who's the average person that's walking around in that shuk? Is a Kanani.
Right.
So if it's got $1,000 in the pouch over there, is the Kanani going to say, but it has a driver's license over here, so that means that I have to return it? I'm not going to think like that. So since he's not going to think like that, so the finder the owner that lost it, what's he going to think? Is he going to give up?
Okay, so Ba Yisrael v'nasan Ba Simon. A Jew comes and gives an identifying mark for it. Mahu, what is the law? Amar Le, Rav Nachman said to Rava, Hare elu shelo. These belong to the finder. Okay, so now my scenario is that it's he's got a driver's license in there and $1,000, and the guy says there was $1,000 in my purse, and if you look, you'll see a driver's license that has my name on it. And the Gemora says, "V'halo omeid v'tzoveach," but is the original owner not standing and shouting that it's his? Naaseh kitzoveach al beiso shinafal. This is like someone who shouts about that his house fell. Va'al sefi naso shav'a bayam, or about his ship that sank in the sea. Clearly, the owner has despaired of finding it and has already relinquished his ownership. His subsequent protest is of no avail. Okay, and that's the end of this case, because now we're going to go on to the vulture. So footnote says, we see from this that a situation in which it is assumed that a reasonable person abandons hope of recovering his object, we do not believe him to say otherwise. His protest is like one who says that he has not abandoned hope of recovering his house that collapsed on his ship and sank. This is disputed by Rosh. See Pilpula, Charifta, and Derisha to Choshen Mishpat. This explains the Gemora's statement here, according to Rosh.
Oh, so it sounds like the art scroll is bringing that the poskim are dining on this case. It's not so pashut, because I'll tell you, right? It seems like from the Gemora itself that Rava agrees with you. Rava is the one that asked the question to Rav Nachman,
right?
And Rav Nachman told him, "Harei l'shelo." But what if? And then Rava says, "But 1 second. What if the person comes and gives a simon?" And Rav Nachman insisted. He said, "Harei l'shelo." And then Rava was arguing with him. Really, I mean, he was saying, but hello. 1 second. How could it be that the din is Harei l'shelo o mitzoveach? So what would we say about what Rava is saying? We'd say that Rava doesn't seem to agree with Rav Nachman.
Right.
So it's true that that Rav Nachman answered him back. In other words, Rava is saying, well, isn't the fact that he's standing there and he's screaming that this thing belongs to him, isn't that a proof that he didn't give up? That's what he holds. That's what Rava is saying at that point. That would seem to be a proof that he has not given up. And but Rav Nachman answered that challenge. Rav Nachman answered that challenge. He said, "Nasa kitzoveach al beso shenofal ve'al svinoso shetova b'yam." So he answered that, and after he said that, Rav Nachman, the Gemora doesn't record that Rava said anything in response to what Rav Nachman said. So to me, it would be a question. Did Rava ultimately accept the view of Rav Nachman, or did he not? And then, of course, even if he did not, then the question would be, how are the poskim going to rule what the final halacha is? When if you have a machlokes in the Gemora between Rava and Rav Nachman, what are the rules for psak? The psak is like Rav Nachman. But I'd be interested to see what the if there are any discussion in the post scheme about what the final halacha is in this case. Right, and okay, and I'll refer you. Maybe you don't want to go over it right now here, but also the previous case,
The
the previous case of Rav Yehuda Habishokil v'Ozo Basrei de Mar Shmuel, B'Shuka de Beidaisa, also broaches this very same issue.
The market of cereal stores. He found a purse. He said the belief belongs to the finder. The Jew comes and gives a mark, identifying mark. He has to return it. So what's the difference? Going beyond the letter of the law. This is like an incident involving Shmuel's father, who found these donkeys in the desert, and he returned them to their owners after the full 12 months of the year had elapsed, going beyond the letter of the law. Just another case. So the ruling in both cases is the same, actually. He doesn't have to return it.
Yeah, so we have really both Rav Nachman and Shmuel are paskening that the bottom line din is at Harei Elu Shelo in this case.
And we can we extrapolate and say that since in the case of Rav Yehuda and Shmuel, the Gemora says he should return it because Lifnei Mishur Sadin, that in this case also with Rav and Rav Nachman, even though he doesn't have to return it, he should?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I don't really see any reason why to say otherwise.
Yeah.
It's exactly the case.
You could ask why does the Gemora give us two cases that are basically identical?
Well, like this, it's important in Psak Halacha, because here now we have two Gedolei Amoraim, both Shmuel and Rav Nachman, that are saying that the din is Harei Elu Shelo.
Right.
That's not more holds more weight than if we just had one case with Rav Nachman.
Uh-huh.
It could be it's but of course the answer, if you're asking the question, why did the Gemara put both in? So the answer to that, the answer to that is what I just said, and also I'm thinking there's another answer, because in the first case with Rabbi Yehuda and Shmuel, it's the Gemara, it's clear from what Shmuel said that he holds that nevertheless, really he's obligated to give it back because the Jew is obligated to go with name Meshuras Adin.
A Jew is obligated to go Lifnei Meshuras Adin. That's an interesting statement. I thought Lifnei Meshuras Adin is not obligatory.
So if he doesn't return it, so you can't say you can't say he did an Aveira.
Right.
If he would go to Shmuel and say, what should I do, Rebbe? Right? What did Shmuel originally tell him? Shmuel originally said, Chayav lahachzir. If you ask me, you have to return it. When he said, how could you say both things? Tarti. How could both things be true? And he said, the reason why I'm saying is Chayav lahachzir because it's a din of Lifnei Meshuras Adin. Especially if a person is known to be a proper and upstanding individual, for him not to return it in a case where it's clear that the person that this item belonged to the other person, it looks a bit it doesn't look right. It's not the proper hanhaga. It's not the proper way to act.
Right. That's what's troubling me.
Yeah, so this is one thing that we have to understand. We have to understand that there's no question over here that the proper thing to do would be to return it.
Right.
That's why Shmuel originally said, even in the case, rather when he did say, oh, but what if Bo Yisrael v'nosin Bo Simon Mahu? Then what do you say? And he says, oh, in that case, Chayav lahachzir. And he asked him, Tarti, how could you say both things? You're contradicting yourself.
Right.
You just got through telling me Hare El Shelo. Why is it Hare El Shelo? Because you told me the person was Miyayish. That's the reason why it's Hare El Shelo, because there's no simon. There's rather even if there is a simon, but we say that the person is Miyayish. Person's Miyayish in such a situation. He loses something in a place of many people, and not only many people, but rove of them are Kananim. He's not going to be Miyayish. How is it he's not going to be Miyayish?
Because he knows it has his driver's license in there.
I mean, again, if a Kanani finds it with $1,000 and a driver's license, what's the Kanani going to do?
Return it.
Well, the Gemora doesn't think so. Gemora doesn't think so.
Right. Well, that's what we're learning from here, from this. The Gemora doesn't think that
the Gemora thought that the Kanani is going to return it, why is he going to return it? Because it's the right thing to do.
Right. I actually had this happen.
Okay, there's always exceptions to every principle.
Right.
We're not saying that every single Kanani is a bum, but we're saying that, I mean, if I lost something, even if it was valuable, if it's in Times Square, then that's it. That's goodbye, Charlie. That's the end of. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm not going to give up because it's a bit ridiculous. And I'll say even more than that. This that he's going to look for it. That's what the Gemora is saying. That doesn't mean that he didn't initially give up. We're saying we don't believe him when even if he would tell us, I never gave up. We don't believe him because we know that he wants the $1,000.
Right. We have to presume that something happened to change his mind. Right? Because if he gave up, then he's not going to even come and say, I lost my purse. So it has to be that something happened to make him change his mind and say, wait, I'm not giving up.
Right. He says, 1 second, I got to get that. I got to get it back. I mean, it was $1,000. It's got my driver's license in. I got to get it back. So he's trying.
No, we're saying initially he gave up. He said, I'm never going to get it back. I give up. I'm not going to look for it. Right? That's the presumption.
Right.
Then he comes and says, give me my purse. So I think we have to presume that something changed. That's why in my example of the LAX, I said that, his friend came and told him that he saw somebody pick up the purse.
So what changed?
What changed was that he had a reason now to believe that that somebody found it and that he knows who found it.
Okay, so does that prove that he never gave up initially?
No, Adarabba, I'm saying it proves that something changed.
Oh, so what's the halacha if somebody gave up initially and then he changes his mind and says, "Well, I got to go and get it. I got to go get that. I can't. How could I lose $1,000? I got to go. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to try to get it." What's the din in that case? If we would know for a fact that happened, what's the din?
The din is that the finder is not obligated to return it, but he should return it.
Yeah, there's no. In other words, that's what the Gemora is saying. The fact that the person is standing here trying to get it back, and he was even giving a simon proving that it is his, that's not inconsistent with saying that he originally gave up.
Right.
And if he, in fact, did originally give up, so then there's no doubt whatsoever that the halacha is harei shelo. The fact that he's coming now simply means that he changed his mind. He's trying to get it back. He's trying to get it back. But even people do things. Maybe that's what Rav Nachman is saying. People do things out of desperation also. Even at the time that he thinks that he's running after and he's trying to get it, does he really think that he is going to get it? 1 in 1,000, 1 in 1,000,000. I would say he doesn't even believe. He's even at the time that he's running to try to get it. He's still giving up. He didn't change his mind, but he's just acting out of desperation. But then when somebody tells him, somebody has your wallet over here, and I think it's yours. Go and claim it. So then he goes over and he says, yeah, oh, this is my wallet. It's got $1,000 in it. It's got my driver's license in it. Very nice. He could prove that that was the wallet that he lost and gave up on. That's all he's proven.
Yeah. Okay. I hear. That clarifies it a little bit. It's still hard, but clarifies it a little bit. Anyway, our time is up, Rabbi. Thank you so much.
Okay, shkoyach.
Mitzvah Hashem, I'll see you tomorrow at 10:30.
Ezra Hashem. Have a good day.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Amen.